Before I even get into any of this, we're going to watch a series of clips for no reason other than I find it funny. Pay attention to the lunatic in the upper right-hand corner dressed as a bloody corn cob.
You mentioned a few times as black people killed at a what you consider proportional rate, which is interesting. The data doesn't bear that out whatsoever. 13% of the population experiencing half the police shooting deaths is not really the case here, or at least
I know. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, we missed the T jump.
You missed it. Wait, I'll go back.
The T jump's expression.
There
There you
it
go. Perfect.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, so already, literally, like the first thing out of Jake's mouth, he doesn't understand the point that T jump made. The literal first point that Jake has made, he already doesn't even understand T jump's argument.
yes.
It's a great start to the debate, that isn't an opening statement, and already you don't know what the opposing argument is. Do you see how stupid this man is? 13% of the population experiencing half the shooting deaths. That doesn't tell us much of anything, veggie boy. A sane person would ask, and Jake is clearly not one, his attire alone shows us this. What does the average encounter of that demographic with the police look like? Because if it's more hostile, well, that might account for the so-called disproportion. Idiot.
at least half the number that white people do. So that's obviously disproportionate. And then if you say 37% of violent crimes are committed by black people, and that's proportional to the number of shootings or whatever, that's very obviously, and studies do show that that is due to the fact that they over-police those areas due to systemic racist issues that spawn back from, I mean, the very foundation of policing, which was to catch slaves.
Systemic racist issues that goes back to the foundation of policing, which was to catch slaves. In the spirit of democracy is cringe, gay, and frankly retarded at this point, I am quite fed up of indulging every mid-witted plank of a creature simply because they can breathe. Your opinion does not hold value merely because you aren't dead. There are some things, if you utter them, you should be forced to shut up because you're unbelievably insane and stupid. There will be no talks, no discussions, no pontification. No, you're just an idiot and that's the end of it. This is one of those moments. Over-policing, you piss off. Everyone knows these people are the eternal losers who are just looking for a reason to bitch. If there was no state intervention, they will say the system doesn't care about them. When they misbehave and the state enforces a standard, oh, suddenly the state is negligent. Oh, there's a lot of violent conduct from the cops. Maybe look at what they're dealing with instead of putting the onus on the cops.
Why that's
It's not proportional to the amount of violent crime. It's proportional to the amount of violent crime that police interact with.
No, I'm just
Yes.
going off of the violence.
So wait, so Jake just said it's not proportional to the amount of violent crime. It's proportional to the amount of violent crime police interact with.
Right. So he's saying there's violent crime that police are not interacting with?
So it's like, well, wait a minute. First of all, this is the biggest statement in the world. Really? The police can't possibly shoot someone in situations where they don't exist?
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
I don't have anything to add to this. I just wanted to play it because it's funny.
Yes, because that's the amount of violent crime that people interact with, right? If you're not interact.
T-Jum's expressions alone makes this debate far funnier than Jake's utterly asinine commentary.
With violent crime because you're not policing white areas as much as you police black areas, obviously you're going to find more crime in black areas. Do you agree?
Are you saying there's like some kind of epidemic of violent crime that's not solved in white neighborhoods or something?
I love that. I totally love that. Are you saying that we have a lot of violent crime in white neighborhoods that's just not being reported? Like, what is it, like murder and stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
wouldn't that? How would that happen?
I
Wouldn't
know.
people be like,
that's
oh my God,
question.
there's an epidemic of white murder in white neighborhoods and white areas, and the police just never show up and they never interact, they never catch the killers. Oh my God.
They never reported or anything?
Never reported.
Come
It's
on.
like, what?
I know this is turning into a bit of a clip compilation, but damn it, this is funny as hell.
That tends to be correct. Also, population density tends to be a factor. So when you have a systemic issue in regards to how we...
So, but wait a minute. Jake just destroyed his own argument because he just said that a combination of being poor and population density are two very big factors in crime. And if the black population is disproportionately affected by those two things, then they're going to disproportionately probably be involved in more crime.
Right.
Which is T-Jump's fucking argument.
That is one of my favorite bits in this whole debate, and Zidge is going to tell us why.
What? Was there a problem with that?
Yes, there's a problem with that because it seems to me that you don't understand that that is like literally the catalyst for causing the crime in the first place.
What? So if they don't,
It's cyclic.
It's just so hilarious. Like literally, this is this. I've never seen anything like this. Jake says something. T-Jump says, "I agree." Then Jake stops and says, "Oh fuck."
You're supposed to disagree with me.
This is a Black Lives Matter debate, and he said all lives matter. That means he's a secret racist Nazi. I must destroy him. I can't let him agree with me on anything. How do I attack him?
Stop agreeing with me, you motherfucker.
This is a great debate, isn't it?
Who support the policies isn't the problem. The problem is the policies, not the police.
It literally is the problem, and they're telling you it's the problem, and
What
bears out.
And once again, we're back to the problem is the cops and not the people committing the bloody crimes.
Okay, do you need me to do the
I'm
math
not sure.
for you?
Again, I'm not sure what
That is
you're
per
saying
capita.
here.
That is per capita. So 370 out of 290 million.
Yeah. So again, I'm
Okay.
not sure what you're
So
saying.
that's how many-
The amount of.
What I'm saying is, if you commit a crime and you are a white person, you are less likely to die in your interaction with police, statistically speaking, based on the population versus the amount of crime that you create and the number of people that just get shot. Like you are less likely if you are white, based on just demographics, to be killed.
That's an obvious lie. You're not factoring in how often the interactions go sideways in your analysis. You're simply looking at the police interactions and going, black people die more and therefore systemic racism or some bollocks. I can't believe someone this thick has actually listened to it. It's insane.
So again,
how
which
is
one
that
of my
confusing?
facts was wrong? Which one of my facts was wrong? 37% of violent crime done by African Americans, 37% of victims of police shootings African American. Which part of those facts is wrong?
The entire thing, they're not facts.
You know, I may have my fair share of disagreements with Adam and such, but damn it, that video was quality. Jake literally cannot understand something as basic as, if an area has a higher amount of crime, police presence will be greater. Just that concept is frame-breaking to this wanker. It actually baffles me, and frankly depresses me, that people can be this stupid. It's mind-blowing. I actually cannot wrap my head around someone not understanding this. There's no need to contextualize anything. I can pitch to you a reason for the behavior, but I guarantee you wouldn't like it.
I just think you gotta be an objective human being. I don't think it has nothing to do with being white or black.
Really? Hey, come on, man.
Oh, that clip will never not be funny. So let me deviate from this ever so slightly. On a Sunday morning a while back, because monsoon levels of rain woke me up, I was watching the tail end of a debate on Sarah's channel, The Raging Tomato, about immigration and deportation. And I messaged her and I said, I want to hop on board and school racism boy over here. And by school, I mean ask a question I know they can't answer and watch the response, if for no other reason other than I will find it amusing. By the time I got on, I swear I was basically the only one vaguely right-leaning on a panel of about 6 or 7 who wouldn't know their ass from their elbow. The main bloke who was debating, I wasn't exactly sure of his political leaning. He sounded like the most psychopathic kind of libertarian socialist. And when it came to wealth redistribution, I said, I don't want politicians being the intermediary. He replied, politicians can't just take money and put it in their pockets. You know when you see someone say something so profoundly thick, you just know anything beyond what you just said will go absolutely nowhere? That was this conversation. My word, imagine asking him where taxes come from. But anyway, so I picture them the question that I've asked on here before. If you have a given territory, occupied and defended by some homogenous group, why should they give access to their people, their land, their resources, and capital to those who don't share their values, gods, or bloodlines? Did they have an answer? No, of course not. That kind of question is miles above their intellectual pay grade. What did they focus on? The bloodlines, and started reading about racism, sex, and race mixing. Because of course they fucking did. So I just left. I got my reaction predictable as always. The point I'm trying to make here is this. Anyone who's paid attention to leftists knows these people have absolutely no brains whatsoever. They are utterly incapable of independent thought. This is a pattern that I've seen repeatedly pretty much as long as I've been alive and paying attention to politics. Now, if one happens to take a leisurely scroll through Cornboy's current X timeline, one gets the impression he's still the exact same idiot who owned his own ass in that debate against T-Jump 5 years ago, which might lead one to speculate either disturbing levels of indoctrination or severe cognitive impairment, possibly both. Now, this wanker somehow stumbled onto my channel. Here's the thumbnail for the video. My character looks rather swanky, doesn't he? Nice job with the gradient and color scheme, just a shame the text makes me feel the need to fumigate myself. Safe to say this was not a good video. How could it be? The attempt at commentary was done by a communist. This gimp was in my DMs trying to insult me into debating him. Dave, the distributor's caught wind of this interaction, asking me why I'm interacting with this loser, because said loser called Dave's son an inbred Nazi. What a genius we have over here. Again, I'm not even mad, just impressed with people this pathetic actually exist. In what world do you decay in, where after vomiting up wank like this, do you think anyone sane would engage with you? I mean, at this point, I simply disregard the existence of anyone who still uses the word Nazi. That becomes so comically overused, Uncle Adolf may as well be Dick Dastardly. Now, I imagine there might be one or two of Jake's fanboys that make it this far, or skip who the hell knows. Seriously, get help, you poor bastards. Or some who think, Spinach, you just poisoned the well by showing us all of this. Fair point. Now, let me answer that question with one of my own. How much of this asinine behavior must I bear witness to before I am permitted to tell these people to go fuck themselves? Dave is the patience of a saint. If even he got fed up of your bullshit, there is no way in hell I would entertain any of it. Hell, I would abstain purely out of respect for Dave's family, because Dave is an honorable gentleman who I actually respect. And by the way, Corn Boy, not the wisest move trying to berate my appearance when you've been cursed with the physiognomy of a Reddit user. It's not a matter of cowardice, it's a matter of sense and pattern recognition. I wouldn't go near you for the same reason I wouldn't go near a naked homeless man covered in fecal matter beckoning me into a dark alley. You both reek of desperation. It's absurd. Not to mention, Jake is American and is therefore unable to comprehend how time zones work. He messaged me at 3 a.m. in the morning. What twat would get up at 3 a.m. to talk to some witless wanker who can't even engage with basic points, resorts to insults and accusations of cowardice, all to coax someone to come on their crappy show? If you think I'm going to do any of that, you're even stupider than your politics. Now, having said all of that, because, I like to use situations like this as a teaching tool, Adam and Sitch actually responded to the comment that I left on the video and said, debate him, he's an idiot. Yeah, he is, and that's kind of the problem. It'd be as worthwhile as trying to teach quantum physics to a 5-year-old, which leads us to a bit of a conundrum with regards to the merits of so-called debating. Actually, no, on second thought, it's to do with conversing in general. This is something that occurred to me in the last couple of weeks. Both liberals and conservatives employ a certain level of blank slate theory-ish when it comes to their worldview. The liberals more so than the conservatives, but I digress. Liberals believe human beings are all exactly the same, interchangeable cogs, malleable through sheer force, and so-called education, which doesn't sound creepy at all. The so-called party of science doesn't believe genetics are real. Then again, they don't believe biological sex is real either, and think the rainbow hippies are a product of science, not politics. It's all adorably insane. It's quite funny to me that they all profess to hate capitalism, but their worldview is entirely materialistic. They literally think all differences between humans will simply boil away and evaporate if we could only get together and consume in orgies of gay sex. Think about it. I mean, not literally because that's vile, but you know what I mean. Actually, come to think of it, libertarians largely believe the latter as well, only they're armed and high doing it. The moment you try and suggest to them that the human experience is beyond merely gather resources and fuck, is the moment you frame break these lemmings. It's like you pitch another dimension of existence they can't conceptualize. Leftists, not libertarians, by the way. This also explains why James Lindsay is an acid casualty fruitcake. Thank you, CJ, for that line. Which goes to show you, they don't become more intelligent without Christianity. No. They regress and become even more animalistic and herd-like. Despite their obsession with the science, in practice they're disturbingly primitive, come to think of it. And don't get them started on government either, my word. You're an authoritarian, you believe in Sky Daddy, and you believe in an army of bureaucrats, or the benevolence of Jesus Christ, utterly immune to the corruption of power, who will always obey the nebulous will of the people. And you think I'm the delusional one? Fuck, you must be taking the piss. My form of civilization already existed. It birthed the greatest empires and civilizations the world has ever known. Meanwhile, all your worldviews amounted to is a mass grave of corpses. Spare us your insipid ramblings, you impish gopher. Everyone knows this. Nothing the left believes in is real. The further into leftism you go, the closer you get to a padded cell in a mental asylum. This is why when the riots in California kicked off, looking at the responses from them in Mexico, academic agents said on a live stream, the Democratic Party should just be banned. What we saw was current government officials openly cheering on an invasion by a foreign power. The Democratic Party does not believe in the concept of the nation state, let alone the rule of law. AA was right. It's not a serious political party. It's a glorified student protest group. I'll come back to why this matters in a few moments. I legitimately believe if you showed the modern Western civilian to the philosophers of the old world, they would probably think their descendants have all been cursed and gone insane. Not exactly a far-fetched conclusion, if you ask me. Just look at them. But that's a liberal mindset in a nutshell for you. Sheer lunacy. Now, how the conservatives flirt with the blank slate theory is through this program they call Facts and Logic. And they believe this program to be imbued with a certain universal quality because it's objectively true. Now, that might be the case, but here's the problem. Conservatives fail to understand what I call the animation principle. Look at what the left believes in. Is any of it objectively true? No, it's all bollocks. So if they're willing to believe sheer bollocks, what the hell makes you think they're going to simply take the facts and logic like a fish to water? That is in itself illogical. Facts and logic do not animate leftists. Well, at least not positively anyway. It makes them spurg. And you don't want them to spurg. You want them to accept the programming. I liken it to trying to sell sobriety to a bunch of drug addicts. You could think sobriety is the greatest thing since sliced bread all you want, but there is no way in hell you're going to sell sobriety to a bunch of people who enjoy being off their tits. Your first task is not to change their belief structure. No. Rather find out why they believe what they do, and more importantly, how. Especially if you can tell what they believe makes no bloody sense. Now, leftists, despite their insanity, are actually very simple to understand. In fact, they're no different than any other group of people in any other place or time. In spite of their raging cries against hierarchy, they still operate according to hierarchical structure. Militantly so, in fact. It's why they're so effective. You see, in the old world, you had the church, fathers, heads of the household, so on and so on. Values are passed down, top down, from the authority figures. Always. And leftists are no exception. Leftists, even though they declare themselves secular atheists, whatever the hell that means at this point, they have their gods as well. It's the regime and academia. And given that they're all midwits, they've been duped into believing that because academia is not religious but rather factual, supposedly anyway, data can't be corrupted or used for malevolent purposes. And if you buy that premise, man, there is nothing you won't believe. They're like drunken pigs. They will consume literally anything so long as it comes from their temple of authority. There comes a point where their obsession with data ceases to appear like a mind that's well-informed, but rather one that uses it as a crutch, because without it they'd be forced to think for once in their miserable lives, which would no doubt cause some kind of mental breakdown. They're not inquisitive creatures by any means. No. When push comes to shove, they're ultimately just programmable drones. They want to be seen as Sims who glorify the regime. They don't use data to map out a coherent worldview. No, they use data the same way a program needs input variables or else it doesn't do anything. Without the input variables, they're objectively useless. To leftists, everything is about optics because they're all spiritually women. There's no wonder they believe people are malleable. It's because they are. By the way, after I wrote the script, Andrew Wilson debated racism, boy, and my word, everything I wrote in this video, that kid personifies to a T. It's actually really creepy. And this is something conservatives repeatedly fail to understand. In fact, I would say there's two things that conservatives need to recognize. The main one being, John Locke was an idiot and consent of the governed is bullshit. Orrin McIntyre pointed this out some months back. When Biden ran for office, did the Democrats run on transient kids and open borders? No. But once they were in power, that's what they did. The Democrats actually understand that democracy isn't real. The will of the people does not exist. They don't care about consent. They just rule. They're not trying to win anyone over because they have power and their base is loyal. Another thing conservatives can't seem to wrap their heads around, which makes no sense because they, for some reason, can understand this when it comes to guns but not power. Just because your enemy uses a weapon, it does not mean you are equally reprehensible if you use the same damn weapon. Power is neutral. What matters is why you use it. The conservatives need to understand that when it comes to values, voluntarism is bullshit. Values do not come from the ability to partake or abstain. Values are imposed and enforced. Oh, that sounds terribly authoritarian. Who cares? It's functional. Liberty is for the crying peasantry. Order is king. Oh, we don't want to impose our values. That's what the Democrats do. They're going to do it anyway, regardless of what the hell you do, you idiots. As a matter of fact, they're going to do it more because you're too weak and stupid to enforce yours. This is why the conservatives will forever be cucked by this nonsense of consent. Look at how the Democrats treat their own. They don't try to appeal to them because they understand their ilk are just lemmings who revere them as an authority. They have no values, no principles, no core beliefs of any kind. They're just empty vessels who defer to power. They will believe literally anything, even to their own detriment. What kind of imbecile tries to speak rationally to cultists? This is also why showing them to be inconsistent hypocrites doesn't do anything. They don't believe in values. They believe in power. You're not imposing it on your allies. Your allies already agree with you. You're imposing it on valueless, unprincipled midwits who clamor to be led anyway. So there's no ethical dilemma here. Hell, I would go so far as to say you have an obligation to enforce your will and dominate, especially if you know you'll get better results. It is astonishing to me how stupid conservatives are. They will acknowledge not all people are the same, but when it comes to politics, that's the philosophy they choose to adopt. Why? I would never look at people as stupid as leftists and think they are somehow my equal, capable of understanding much of anything, especially considering their gullibility. Your job is not to install a different program. Your job is to tear out the operating system. And failing that, recognize the hardware is obsolete, but that's a whole nother video. The only way the conservatives will ever win anything is if they grow a pair of balls and recognize the cold hard reality that free will is a pile of arse. People don't need to be governed, they need to be ruled with an iron fist. Cheers for watching. Once again, I apologize for nothing.